Hello YouTube, my name is Nero. Today we have some Call of Duty World at War, some old school gameplay for today's video. I was playing World at War yesterday, and it bothers me to no end that the game still tries to force DLC down your throat, even if you don't have the DLC. If you guys don't know, when you play World at War, all of the DLC maps are still in the rotation, whether or not you have the DLC either purchased or installed. If you don't have the DLC purchased or installed, it will load the map up and then kick you out for not having the DLC. It's very, very annoying, and that made me want to make this video talking about the Call of Duty DLC system and why it needs to be completely redesigned. I was looking through all of the various Call of Duty games today, and they are incredibly expensive. We were recently talking, of course, about the remastered Variety Map Pack still being $15, even though the original one was $10 back in the day. Well, Call of Duty 4 is a $20 game. Even to this day, even though the game is almost 10 years old, it's a $20 game, and its one map pack is $10. World at War is a $20 game, and all of its DLC packs, which include 3 of them, are $10 each, although there is a bundle where you can actually get all 3 DLCs for $25. You end up saving $5, but basically, to get World at War and all of its content, you're still paying $45 to $50. Modern Warfare 2, another $20 game, and all of its DLC packs, which I think is 2 of them, they are $15 a piece, and each one of them comes, of course, with 5 multiplayer maps, but a lot of those are just remakes and stuff like that. So basically, to get Modern Warfare 2 and all of its content, $50. Black Ops 1, $30 game. It has 4 DLC packs, each of them $15 each. So we're talking about $90 to be able to experience Black Ops 1 and all of its content. Modern Warfare 3 is no different, a $30 game with $15 DLC. Black Ops 2 is a $50 game with $15 DLC packs. And so if you want to have Black Ops 2 and all of its downloadable content, we're talking about $110 here. The list goes on and on, of course, with every single Call of Duty game. If there's one thing I've learned, and it's almost a meme at this point, but I never really took it to heart until I really went back and looked at all this here. Activision is said to be very greedy, right? Everybody says Activision's greedy. They're all greedy, money, money, money. But if you look back at these older Call of Duty games and all of the older DLC, it's like, how can you justify charging $15 for a Modern Warfare 2 map pack? I mean, that makes no sense. You think they would drop the price on these, right? And the worst part about it is the way the DLC system is designed in the Call of Duty series is you need it installed to play certain things, right? If you want to play just zombies on older Call of Duty games, you are required to have that DLC installed. And the problem with that is you have the DLC installed, therefore you're only going to get matched up in the online multiplayer with other people who have that particular DLC installed. You see, I personally have every single piece of DLC that I've ever downloaded for any Call of Duty game, except for the current ones, of course. I have that all uninstalled, right? Because the community is so small on these older games that if you do have DLC installed, then you're only going to play with other people who also have DLC, and that's definitely an issue. You have a small player base, and now you're basically sectioning yourself off from part of that small player base and only playing with an even smaller group of people, which is very bad. Not to mention the fact that if you have a weird assortment of DLC, the number of people you can actually get matched up with is even smaller. Like, let's say on the original Black Ops, for example, you only have DLC 3 installed because Shangri-La is your favorite map for whatever reason. That's the only zombies map you want to play. Well, if you decide to play multiplayer and you only have DLC 3 installed, you're only going to get matched up with other people who only have DLC 3 installed. It's a very small number of people, believe me, that only have DLC 3 installed on that game, and so finding a match online is definitely going to be an issue. This has been a problem with Call of Duty ever since the first map pack, the original Variety Map Pack, which came out with Call of Duty 4. It became an issue then, and it's been an issue throughout the entire history of the series. And other games, they acknowledge this, right? They see this as an issue, and this is why you see a lot of games these days giving out map packs for free and instead making their money with microtransactions. Overwatch is a great example of this. They keep adding heroes and maps to their game, and they will not charge for any of them. If they add a new hero to the game, he's free. That's the equivalent of like a Call of Duty specialist almost. Like, they add a specialist to the game. Imagine if they just put in the game and gave it to you for free, right? Or if they add new maps to the game, they make those maps for free. And the reason why they do this is they don't want to leave anybody out, and instead they make their money off of loot boxes, which contain campaign-only sprays and skins and stuff like that, and they take the money they earn from those loot boxes and use that money to fund more heroes and more maps. This is actually something Call of Duty could be doing, but they are not doing it. Last year, with Black Ops 3, they set series records for money made from microtransactions. They made more money from supply drops in Black Ops 3 last year than they did from map packs and the season pass combined. And it sort of feels like Call of Duty is double dipping here. I mean, sure, they add a lot more content to map packs than they did in the past. You know, back in the day, it was just like 3 brand new maps and maybe 1 remake, maybe 2 remakes, but that's all you really got for $15. These days, we get 3 brand new maps, a remake, a zombies map. Sometimes they throw in a gun like they did back in Call of Duty Ghosts. They do give us more content, sure, but still, it's not really worth the $15, right? We're talking about the price of 1/4 of the overall game for 3 maps, a remake, and a zombies map. And once that particular Call of Duty game's 1-year life cycle is over, the value of that DLC pretty much plummets because a lot of fans, myself included, are pretty much forced to uninstall the DLC that we paid for if we actually want to have an easier time finding matches in the multiplayer after the game is out of its 1-year life cycle. I feel as though the Call of Duty DLC system needs to be redesigned entirely. If they are going to continue locking weapons in supply drops and really putting a lot of content in supply drops, if you think about it, then I feel as though they need to go the Overwatch route, and I understand Overwatch is not the first game to do this, but they're the game I'm using as an example here. They need to go that route and give out maps as free content updates. I feel as though this would excite the community. I feel as though there would be a lot of buzz and a lot of hype building up to each and every DLC pack, more so than usual, because everyone already gets excited for new zombies maps. We already get excited when we see new maps. We want to play these. Imagine if these maps were free and everybody could partake in them. I think that sounds pretty awesome. Where this falls apart, in my opinion, though, is zombies maps, right? Because zombies maps are expansive, right? These things have a ton of original assets, lots of work, lots of voice acting. There's a lot that goes into zombies maps. I cannot deny that. I don't think anybody would argue that these maps are cheap to make. I mean, they really do put a lot of time and effort into these zombies maps. So I can see a situation where they would continue charging for zombies maps and perhaps incorporate them into a revamped season pass. Instead of charging us for all the map packs and stuff like that with the season pass, why not make it so supply drop weapons and zombies maps are all put in the season pass, charge $20 or $30 for this brand new season pass, and I feel as though personally people would be happy. Now, of course, there's going to be people that disagree, but I feel as though if for $30 we got all of these supply drop weapons, and as they came out, of course, and all of these zombies maps in every single game, then I feel as though people would be happy about that. As for DLC on older games, I really can't see a way to fix the issues at hand without just giving the DLC out for free. Now, again, I'm not somebody who's always like in favor of handouts. I don't feel as though I'm entitled to everything because I bought the game, therefore I should have all of its DLC. I'm not that person. I'm really not. I have personally purchased every DLC for every Call of Duty game that has ever released, right? Including Infinite Warfare. I have the Infinite Warfare Season Pass. I bought every piece of DLC. I am a freaking whale for the Call of Duty series. But even I feel as though they should be giving out the DLC on older games for free, and the reason why, and it makes sense from a business perspective, is there would be a resurgence on all of these games. Right now, Activision has to be making next to no money when it comes to older Call of Duty games. Like, I'm sure people are still buying MW2, they're still buying MW3, but how many of those people are really buying the DLC on older Call of Duty games? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, how many people are really buying the Stimulus map pack on Modern Warfare 2 right now? I doubt they are, because it makes no sense. I would not be surprised whatsoever to hear that nobody in the entire world has purchased that particular DLC on that particular game in the past 6 months, because it just really makes no sense. Or what about the second map pack on Black Ops 1? Like, nobody is buying this stuff, right? So if Activision were to announce that all DLC is now free, they would get a ton of press from YouTubers like myself, live streamers, and no doubt the traditional media. Everyone would be covering this, right? And fans that would otherwise not have purchased or played those old games, they would suddenly be buying these old games because they would suddenly have a much greater value. Like, for example, Black Ops 2 is a great game. I think it's often considered by a lot of people to be one of, if not the best game in the entire series. But right now, it's a $50 game that released in 2012, and it has 4 map packs. Each one of those map packs is $15. We're talking $110 for all of that game's content, and it's nearly 5 years old at this point. If they were to make it so Black Ops 2's DLC was all free and still keep that initial $50 $20 price sticker, then I feel as though a lot of people would be going back to that game. A lot of people would be purchasing that game because there would actually be a lot of content actually worth $50. If we're looking back at Call of Duty World at War, $20 for that game plus all of its map packs, which include all the classic zombies maps, I think people would say, you know what, for $20, that actually sounds worth it. Suddenly, you have people actually buying World at War when they would never have thought to have purchased it otherwise. And for some reason, they seem to think that this is actually going to work. On the PC, if you buy COD 4, you get the Variety map pack with it. It's a $20 game. You get the $10 DLC for free. If you buy World at War on the PC, for some reason, they throw the DLC in that game in there for free as well. They do this on PC, but they don't do this on console, where the vast majority of the Call of Duty player base is. So it works on PC. I'm sure it'll work on console, and I'm sure there's got to be like a cutoff point somewhere with that. Like, I'm not sure if they'd be wanting to give out all the Black Ops 3 DLC right away. I don't know how they would do it, but those are just my thoughts and feelings. Like, I feel as though old DLC on older Call of Duty games needs to become free. It just needs to, and I feel as though in the long run, they'll end up making more money because of it. Because again, nobody is buying old DLC on older games. In fact, people that do have the DLC, they are uninstalling it because it's a burden to actually have installed at this point. It's a very bad system. It's incredibly outdated. This entire DLC system that Call of Duty has implemented over the past decade, it completely needs overhauled. It needs completely redesigned. I feel as though if they were to go the Overwatch route and continue with supply drops, continue putting everything in there, but give us maps for free, people would be happy with that, right? If the money that we were spending on supply drops, which don't get me twisted, I haven't spent money on supply drops since Black Ops 3, but if the money that people are spending on supply drops was actually funding maps that everyone in the community could have for free, then I feel as though people would hate supply drops a lot less. If a season pass included for $30 or something reasonable like that, all of the zombies maps in the game and all of the supply drop weapons as they released, I feel as though people would be happy about that as well. Sure, you're still paying money for weapons, but it's a lot more fair of a model that way as compared to hopefully getting lucky from supply drops, right? Right? I mean, I don't know. These are just my thoughts and feelings. I played World at War a little bit, and it annoyed me to no end that a DLC map would show up in the rotation, and I would be forced to back out of the lobby because I don't have that DLC installed, and nobody has DLC installed for that game because it's a burden to actually have, and even if you have it installed, like, you're going to get into the match with, like, 2 people on your team and 1 person on the other team, and it's just not going to work out, right? So these DLC in Call of Duty is in a very bad place right now, in my opinion, and I feel as though the entire system needs to be redesigned, and I laid out for you guys my personal plan, what I think would fix this system. Now, of course, would love to hear what you guys think down there in the comment section below. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Drop me a rating, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.